Well, hey everybody. It's Jeff with Contractors Corner, and I'm trying to do Charlie's job today because Charlie is kind of out of action. We'll probably be able to bring him in for a few minutes, but he's kind of laid up a little bit with this burst appendix thing he's got going on. If you guys haven't heard about that yet, Charlie had his appendix burst on Friday, and so he's on the drip IVs and all that stuff right now. He's hanging out at the VA hospital. Actually, you know what? Before we do anything else, because he was complaining about how hot it is out there.
Oh my God, it's hot, bro. Hey, everybody.
He's out there in his scrubs.
Look at me all
Hey,
sexy.
hey, hey! At
Oh,
least you don't.
oh.
At least you don't have one of those show your butt off uh,
No,
hospital gowns
they gave me pajamas and I'm hiding from the VA police right now. Because, yes, I am smoking a cigar
on VA property.
on VA property. And they've already told me the next time they see me, there will be fines and repercussions. And I said, just write the ticket. I can't run. Where am I going? I'm tied to a damn machine. I don't know if you can see. Where's the machine? There's a machine. Look, I got me some juice flowing up in this thing, and
Yeah,
oh,
it's a
good
good.
lord!
And you were on some of the good stuff yesterday. I was texting him, and he was like, "Yeah, I gotta wait to get off the good stuff, and then maybe I can pay attention."
All right, look at this. This is a great one. That's right, Wimpy McBoat. I'm on vacation, yo. They're serving me. I just had my first liquid meal today. That was awesome. We could get into all the real particulars, but nobody wants to hear all that, so we're not going there. But
Yeah.
hey, I just wanted to pop in because I have to be here for every show. It's a thing I've got, man, one way or another. So I'm gonna let you guys do your thing. I'm gonna hang out while I walk back to the hospital here and finish my cigar, and I'm gonna get my Tookus beat by Sue eventually when she sees this, and she's gonna, oh my God, I'm gonna get in so much trouble. But
Well,
look, I'll blame
I,
Rosie.
I think at
She
this
enabled
point,
me,
Sue's probably en route.
right?
So let's go through because this is Charlie. Charlie loves this. We're gonna go through who's in the chat. Our
Yes.
first guest today was Mike Henderson at 11:34 a.m., which was only actually a few minutes after I figured out how to finally post this thing. Because
Good
again,
on you, both.
we do a pretty good show together, but all the behind the scenes stuff is Charlie. So I had to pull some stuff out of my rear end today to get
That's
things
good.
going, and I
Get you
learned
out
a
of your
lot,
comfort zone.
just a little, just a little. Uh, Trucking with the Fly Rabbits here. Hello to you, Victor Jackson. Hola. TK
Mr.
is in the
Stewart, good to see
house.
you. Sorry.
James Vaughn.
TK, my brother from another mother. I like Lisa's comment. Did Charlie leave the company?
No,
Everybody thinks the worst. No, I almost died. It's cool. Don't worry about it. I'm still at Swift. I'm still at Contractor's Corner. I'm still at Swift. I'm doing my thing. Oh,
that's
good
right.
God. I'm in Tampa, Tim.
So here's what's really fun, Lisa. Squirrel. There's probably actually squirrels there, isn't there, Charlie?
There was 2 and 3 ducks that looked really scary here a minute ago. Like I was like, come on, just leave me alone. I can't run.
All right, man. All right, so
I am
you're
a
heading
slow
back to the
moving.
room, nice and
Yeah.
slow with George the IV stand.
Yeah. I got a 20-minute walk back to that. I want you guys to understand that's how dedicated I am to this. This and smoking cigars. I got a 20-minute walk back to get to my side of the VA hospital and maybe not get a ticket.
Nice.
Maybe. Or as I'm like, you can't escort me off the property. I'm hooked to an IV.
Tim wants to know which VA post you're at.
James Haley, Tampa, VA. I'm getting moved into a brand new wing tomorrow that they just opened up. That's kind of
Nice.
exciting. Big private rooms. Oh, good Lord. And yeah, so that's the real deal. my appendix apparently did rupture on Friday. I literally thought it was gas. So I was being a man. It's just gas. No, apparently it ruptured. And what I felt was the rupturing spreading across my abdomen and poisoning my guts. And I made it to a hospital because I'm stupid Saturday night. And I've been in the
Because,
hospital ever since.
yep. And it's looking like at least tomorrow, maybe the day after.
Well, I'll be in the hospital for at least tomorrow. They're hoping to get me off an IV tomorrow if I can tolerate some solids, soft solids, they said, because then they need me to start taking pills, and I can't do that yet. So it's been a process, man. Look, don't look. Who knew about this appendix crap? I did not. And my daughter had her appendix out. I should know something. I knew nothing at all.
Well, you
Oh,
know how it
son.
is when someone that's close to you has something like this happen. I went on the Mayo Clinic website the other day to find out
Right,
about appendicitis. And as
right,
it turns out, they don't really actually know what causes it. And there's like nothing
right,
you can do about it. It just happens.
right,
So, you either get appendicitis or you don't. And there's
right.
no rhyme or reason for it.
Pretty much figured I was one of those that was never gonna. I mean, hell, I'm 52 years old, right? I mean, why would that happen now? That's silly.
Yeah.
But you know what? Seriously, just take care of yourselves, guys. Don't screw around. I waited too long. I probably, well, okay, I'll admit it. I absolutely waited too long to seek attention. There were 3 times in our trip home from Tuscaloosa to Lake City where I looked at hospitals and thought about calling 911 for an ambulance. And I'm like, nah, I'll be all right. I just got gas. And Rosie's like, hey, you got to do something. How you doing, brother? All right. And instead, here I am, probably going to spend the better part of a week in the hospital, and I got to come back in 2 months and actually have my appendix out. If everything goes well, I'll be back in 2 months to have it removed properly, without them having to take feet and feet of intestine and colon and all that other crap that you don't ever want to have removed.
You're lucky that I don't have enough money to fly Donna over to Florida and back real quick.
Well, no, they actually wanted me walking. Donna, in my defense, they are actually glad that I'm walking. They said that it's actually helping me truly. I am not lying to you. I wouldn't lie to you, Donna. I know better. And yeah, Rosie's been walking with me. Okay, she told me not to smoke, but I did anyhow.
I was
And
actually I told Charlie, hey Pete, that's my son
hi
Pete.
Pete.
Say hi to everybody.
Pete's awesome.
He's supposed to be cleaning his room, but I guess we'll let him be on TV instead.
Nice.
So I told you, Charlie, I was really hoping that this would get you through the Nick Fit part of quitting smoking.
Right.
But man, you just found a way, didn't you?
I gotta tell you, bro, this was stressful. Like this was stressful. I wasn't even fiending. It was just it's more the physical act for me. I mean, look, I'm a junkie. I know this. I'm really having trouble with sunlight here. Sorry, but it was the physical act. I actually just had my first cigar earlier today. And that's when me and the VA lady got into it. But it actually just calmed me, even with her giving me such a hard time and threatening all her craziness with me. I was like, whatever, just write the ticket, bro. I'll just pay the ticket. It's fine. You do the thing, you're willing to pay the fine. I'm just saying, if you're not, then don't do the thing.
There you go. Well, I'm going to get into the fuel surcharge real quick. Charlie, you're still about 10 minutes from your room right now. I figured.
Yeah, go ahead and do your thing, man. And
I can see a sauntering there.
Do me a favor, throw me down in the bottom.
Oh, he's still talking. Look at that. Now he's shaking his head at me. All right, let me see if I can figure out how to do the cool thing that Charlie likes to do. All right, there we go. So I'm going to do it a little different because I don't know how to do all the stuff that Charlie does, but I'm going to throw this up. So this is where we get our data from. I get this in an email every Monday. And this shows the U.S. on-highway diesel fuel prices in each region for the week. And then you can also see there's some where's my cursor at? There we go. Cursor. Last 3 weeks we could compare that, but this is the one that we're really interested in, is this week's fuel surcharge. So that's $4.37.8 a gallon this week, which brings us up by 13.9 cents over last week. You see down here, we talk about the PADD 5 West Coast fuel. West Coast is $5.08.6, which means it went up by 17.5 cents. And there's a couple things we got to do math wise, and this is for our Swift people. And I'll get into you non-Swifties here in a second and why this is important to you. We want to look at the spread between this PADD 5 you see down here, the 586, and the national average 437.8, because we're going to use that here in a second to figure out what our California surcharge is. All right. So let me get up. Where is it? There we go. Cooking with gas now. Okay, so obviously I can't show an entire contract, but this is our table that at Swift shows us by the numbers what our fuel surcharge is. And we just go down to $4.378 up, I guess. I was playing around with it earlier. 437. Yep. 4.378 is 52 cents a mile. That's our surcharge this week, is 52 cents. So remember, we had to do some math there to figure out what you guys running the West Coast are going to see. There's an additional surcharge for loads that pick up in California, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, and Arizona, with this little pimple for Corinne, Utah. So our spread this week is 70.8 cents. So we go down here and look at 70.8 cents. 0.68, 0.2, 0.3. It's up. So this week's differential is 11 cents. So if you're on the West Coast running that freight, you're going to see an additional 11 cents a mile on there. And that's how we figured that out at Swift. Now, if you guys that are not Swift contractors, maybe out there running your own authority, doing the big man's game, okay, this is still really important, because I'll get back to this right here. When you're talking to your brokers or whoever you get freight from, you need to figure out what that fuel's costing you per mile. And you're going to need to know your fuel consumption rate, all that stuff, because you're going to want to build this into your rates, right? That's your negotiating point. I was just talking to some people in another group, and we'll bring Charlie back up because he'll probably want to weigh in on this, because he loves it when I tell him about what's going on in this other group, don't you, Charlie? Put your boom down.
Yes, my bad.
So I saw these guys, and you know, it's like a lot of Facebook groups out there. They have a good heart, right? They're trying to do some stuff, but the negative Nancy's always come in. And a lot of new guys ask these questions like, hey, what about this or about that? Well, if you don't know, then maybe you should not own a truck, or maybe you should go be a company driver. And, you know, Charlie and I call BS on that kind of stuff. I think if you know something, you should tell people about it. You should teach people how to be better at business. And since, you know, a lot of you guys that follow us have been in the game long enough to where, you know, you see a question like, hey, what about this rate? Hey, what about this broker? And you have that experience, you're gonna teach these guys. So what was going on here was they were complaining about fuel prices of this or that and the other thing. And I was like, well, so imagine, exactly. I'll tell you, Charlie, I don't know if I sent you this one. I'll tell you exactly what it was. This dude was getting a rate from this broker and saying, and the broker, this will make you laugh, Charlie, actually said, man, fuel hasn't been above 310 in over a year.
What is wrong with these people?
And so my contribution to that thread was, well, here's where I get my data from. I told them about the ESA website, how to get the weekly email, all that stuff. I said, now imagine going into that broker and saying, well, actually, this week's fuel, the average nationwide is 437. Now, I can send you that data if you would like, but we need to discuss your rates given that fuel is going up. Now, that's a much different conversation than just taking it in the butt, right? That's a lot of these guys, they don't even think that is information that they would use in a negotiation. But you have this broker trying to kind of pull the wool over your eyes, but you can come back and say, I know better. I know what the fuel price is. Let's talk about your rate.
Right.
Now, what's the worst thing that could happen? They say, we don't want to use you. Okay, so you go to someone else that's going to actually be reasonable. Because this is where that whole don't haul cheap freight comes in. People aren't negotiating. We preach a lot about there is no such thing as cheap freight in a free market economy, right, Charlie?
Right, absolutely.
But there's absolutely, in that same capitalist system, there is a negotiation point. Now, this not so much when you're in a low freight volume mileage contract like we're in at Swift. Remember, Charlie, 2 years ago, we were asking planners, hey, is there any more money in that load?
Right.
We were actually negotiating with planners at Swift, and sometimes we would get $100 or so tacked on to the normal mileage rate. Right now, that's really tough because freight volumes are so low, and
they've got no money to play with,
and they've got no money to play with because the rates are down. So right now is not the time to do that, just so you know. But start thinking about that sort of thing, especially if you plan on expanding out there, maybe building a small fleet somewhere, going out on your own.
Right.
The negotiation thing is one of the things that has actually kept Charlie and I from going and getting our own authority. We just don't like it.
It's hard sometimes.
I like knowing what I get paid. If you're into that sort of thing, dude, there's money to be made. Absolutely. But know that you're going to have to negotiate to get those good rates. Oh, that's my soapbox for today.
I dig it. It's a good box to be on.
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the things Charlie and I have talked about is this life beyond Swift.
Right.
A lot of people, hey,
how are you doing?
Don and I were just discussing it recently in lieu of some classes that I'm taking. Charlie and I will never tell you that leasing a truck on Swift is the absolute cat's meow.
Right.
It's not. But you know what? It is a way to get a truck. The question is, once you have that truck, what are you going to do with that truck? And what
are your goals?
Getting you to think more about that. Like Charlie and I have great relationships at Swift. We like the people we work with. We make decent money. We could make more. No
I
doubt.
could even say, this is going to be odd, but I could say I love a couple of people we work with. Just saying.
I've seen you love people that we work with. It's weird.
Hey, now.
Charlie's a hugger, for those of you that haven't met Charlie.
True story.
So yeah, one of the things that Charlie and I have been talking about is for ourselves, what's next in trucking, right? And we've been fortunate enough. I mean, I don't personally believe in luck, but we've done some things that put us in front of some people, and we're starting to think again about different things to do. And always, my dad always taught me, always be looking for that next opportunity.
Right.
And
you don't know what you have is good for you if you don't know what else is out there either.
Right. So always be thinking about that. So let's get to, do we have any actual questions, or is everybody just concerned about Charlie?
Oh, screw that Charlie guy. He'll be all right.
We have some great news from Matt. Big Matt Nissen, the totally huggable big guy. Finally, after 4 long months, I'm out of the red. ranging from truck issues to deaths in the family, it was a rough time. And I just want to give a shout out to Matt. It's been a rough few months for him. Couple deaths in the family. It wasn't just one. And then truck problems on top of that. But here's a guy that he knows what he wants and he stuck it out. Being in business isn't always all roses, you
Right.
got to make that choice. A lot of times when I'm talking to people about whether they're going to hang up their keys or whatnot, I just, it comes to a point where you got to say, well, if you've made your decision, you've made your decision. But remember why you got into business to begin with.
Exactly.
I think the longest I've been in the red was 3.5 months. And that was when I got sued over a medical bill that I never thought I'd get sued over.
Right.
Funny thing about being a sole proprietor, by the way, is so the state of Oregon, when you get sued and there's a judgment against you, they're only allowed to take 7% of your paycheck. But as a sole proprietor, guess what your paycheck is?
It's your settlement.
Your gross receipts. So
Yeah.
70% of my gross receipts was not what I was netting. So they ended up taking the whole thing.
God, that would suck.
So, that is another thing when we talk about sole proprietor, S corp, this corp, that corp. To
Right.
consider if you are in danger of being sued for, I don't know, these days that could be because you looked at someone wrong.
Right.
It does offer some protection for your pay. It doesn't make it so people can't go after your house because, the law isn't what people think it is. Go talk to a
Right.
lawyer. Go talk to a lawyer. They will set you straight on that.
Yeah, don't just read the interwebs. Hey, me first. I like it.
Okay.
Hey, I'm gonna bounce you guys. I'm gonna pop out of here and I'll be in the chat.
Okay. Have fun.
All right. I'll thanks, man. Appreciate you guys.
Don't push the button too many times.
Oh, I can't. I don't have one of those. It's not fair.
Oh,
All right, throw me out of here, Jeff.
you're done. You're out of here. So yeah, Charlie's hitting some tough times, and I'm gonna put a plug in for what Donna is doing online with all of the I call it the homebody CFO, which I think is kind of catchy, but she's like, anyway, all this stuff that she does to save us money, that has absolutely saved our bacon more than once. We have lived off of our little food storage that we collect several times when business wasn't so great. And you take the good times and you hedge against the lean times. That's the way it goes. So check her out on the subscription service. We're trying to figure out how to get her on board with doing a blog as well, but we're gonna have to change technology to do that. Again, there's a lot of a lot of the stuff we're trying to do is stuff that that my 16-year-old could probably do in 20 minutes, but I'm old. Let's be real. Let's see. Yeah, Matt says the biggest obstacle was forcing myself to sit down and see what fat I had to trim and what was necessary. Absolutely. In times of plenty, I spend a lot of money that I just plain don't have in times of famine. And when the times do get tough, you have to sit down and just really get down to what your necessities are. When I got laid off from the phone company, so we had bought our house 18 months before I got laid off, and we were like high on the hog, had a car payment, the whole 9 yards. And it was so lean because you know how it used to be for you older guys back in the late 80s into the 90s. You lost your job, you just went and found another one. Well, this was in the mid 2000s and things had changed. It wasn't so easy. I did end up coming to trucking, which was great for me. But I spent almost a year unemployed. And so we went down to To give you an idea, we went to net zero dial-up internet access. Yeah, because it was free, and that allowed me to search for jobs and stuff. We killed all of our cell phones except for one because I needed that to look for a job. We haven't had TV service since. We had Dish Network because, phone company, we got discounts, whatever. But, we just really cut everything. I even voluntarily had my car repossessed because we couldn't afford the payment on it. And let me tell you, when you hear me talk about debt and why I'm so extreme, that experience of losing a car, that hit me right in the feels, man. And it wasn't even a really expensive car. It was like a $400 a month payment, but without a job, how do you pay that? So we have not had a car note in 17 years as a result of that. We just buy crappy cars and run them till they die. But those are some things, when you do get into that situation where you've got to knuckle down, start looking at that stuff. And it's going to be painful. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. But it will allow you to survive like Matt has back to the point where you get profitable again. Once you're profitable again, the first thing you want to do is just take a breather. Whew. Okay, I've got this taken care of. Take some time. Don't go to the casino right away, Bear Hunter. Yeah, Sean, you too, man. Take a breather. Rebuild some of those reserves. And then after a month or two, think about, okay, I've got all my needs met. I'm back in a good place. Then start thinking more about your wants. But give yourself a good couple months before you start doing that. Because the way my life has been, we get some money and I'm like, cool, I can afford this thing. And then what happens 2 weeks later? Truck breaks down, need new tires, something always happens. So make sure that you take that couple of months, Matt, and not to single you out, but to single you out a little bit. Hey, Hammy, we'll see you later, man. Catch us on the replay and make some comments for us. That'd be great. Yeah, it's definitely a testicular check when you hit rough times. Absolutely. One of the things that we men don't talk about is the toll it can take on you. Going from having a great job to nothing, being able to support your family, to having to put the wife to work for the first time in about a decade. That sucked. So, Hammy, 20K, excuse me. $20K, wow, that sucks. Really, I think 20K is a pretty good place to start. The ideal is, and I haven't done this calculation in a while. I'd have to go look at it again. But find out what these items would cost to replace. I don't think you're going to have to worry about your engine after talking to Bruce over the last few weeks. What's a new transmission cost, and what does a one box cost? If you're in a Kenworth, whatever they call that system, the after treatment and the DEF and all that stuff, the DPF and all that stuff. Because what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to be able to stroke a check for that item. Because that's one of the things that gets people out of business. One of my former students, I call him my most successful failure. God bless him. Jarrett, he was on his second truck, which he planned on buying out, and the transmission went completely out on it. It was a 2017 Kenworth. The transmission on it went completely out and had to be replaced. He was past the warranty, and he had a choice to make. And what he chose to do was go back as a company driver. because he just could not afford to replace that transmission. And that was at the time, I think it was about an $18,000 bill. Now he, given that it was 6 months into that lease, he mentored back in the days when mentoring paid a little more. There's really no reason other than not paying attention that he wasn't able to stroke a check for a transmission at that point. I mean, that's just real. When you're in business, you got to think about that. Do we do it? Very few do. Especially I've noticed at Swift, we tend to say, "Hey, some good times. I made a $4,000 settlement," and then Sean is going to go to the casino apparently. But we all do it, right? And that's something that is you've got to continually work on that financial aspect of your business. Get those reserves set. Right now, it's going to be a little tougher because, as you know, freight is not great. And how do we deal with that? We deal with that by thinking more about our fuel consumption, our maintenance, and things like that. Because here's the thing, back to Hamy's question, what does it cost you to not have that $20,000 in the bank? It could cost you your business, and do you want that to happen? So, if it's $10 a week is all you can afford, put that away, and evaluate that every single week. What I do is I put 8 cents a mile into my Swift maintenance account, and I put 8 cents a mile into my business savings account. That way I can get the Swift buying power when I need it, and then I can stroke a check for the rest. So what do we got here? I think we got lucky on our 2016 freight. 1.1 million still going strong, no problems with the engine, and 1 box of transmission. But truck broke down when we were broke. Yep. Yeah, that's what ends up happening. It doesn't happen when you've got that 20,000 in there. But that's why we keep it in there. And I've got a 2016 also. I just turned 900,000 miles before I got home, and it's doing great. I do those oil sampling, and I send them to the lab. I've actually got one that I'm waiting for the results on right now. But the only thing that is an issue with my truck is that base level drops like a rock after about 30,000 miles. So, and we'll get up on the Facebook group with the actual additive that Bruce is now recommending for that. Basically, it's not expensive, it's not cheap, it's kind of in the middle. But what it'll do is it'll put that base back in your oil and protect that engine. Yeah. This never happens when I've got a co-host and I can just duck out for a minute and cough. Yeah. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, Donna chimed in. That time when we got sued, that was a really tough stretch. That was like, holy cow, 3 months without a paycheck, basically. And yeah. All right, so what else you guys got? Without Charlie here, it's a little tough for me because I don't have someone to bounce off of and make fun of. But for those of you that are in the private network, we started a fuel mileage class, a fuel purchasing class. How to basically manage your fuel costs because of Charlie's hospitalization. Hey, I said that right. We canceled that class this week, and we're going to have to reschedule it for a later time. But we'll get back on that. The next module for that class is going to be on understanding IFTA and how that affects how you purchase your fuel, where, why, all that stuff. What I do is I put 20 cents on my maintenance account. I just keep 20K in maintenance, but I just bought 8 dries. But Swift paid my old tires. Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I was wondering because I need to replace my tires too. So about $3,500 for the Bridgestone M713s. That's not bad. You know, you hear what guys out in the wild are paying for tires, like $1,000 a tire for steers, $1,200 for dries out without a national account, and that kind of makes my stomach hurt. But what I would recommend, Hammy, if you're disciplined enough to do it, is to split that maintenance account, 10 cents into the Swift maintenance account and 10 cents into an interest-bearing business savings account. Because the power of that compounding interest, you know, interest rates are going up, so it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better now than it was a year ago, depending on how you look at it. I mean, you're getting better on your savings account, but mortgages are also at 7.5%. So you know, it depends on where you're at in your life, what you're trying to do. But absolutely try and get money into some sort of interest-bearing account. I'm actually starting to look at maybe doing some certificates of deposit to get a higher interest rate. Now, stuff like that, you got to put in the bank for at least 6 months, let them mature. But you know, there's a method to it, and not, again, you know, full disclosure, I'm not a financial advisor, but it's just some of the things I look at doing to get a little bit of that. Let your money work for you. Mike Henderson says that 20K should not be your complete savings. That 20K needs to be the money that will not hurt your family to use. And that's a thing too. So when I talk to people about the maintenance account, and Charlie and I, this might be another cage match. I don't know. We'll see. I talked to him about that because he's one of those 20 cent per mile guys. And I'm like, well, how often do you actually have to dip into that to say buy your cigars? You know, there's a balance. You don't want to be putting so much away that it's hurting your ability to live. And you got to find that balance. For some people, 20 cents is fine. I settled on what I settled on before I paid the truck off. I was putting 12 cents a mile into my maintenance account, and I really didn't have to stroke a check for anything at that rate over the life of the truck so far. So that's going to be a tough discussion, Matt. Matt asks, have you all followed up on the oil bypass, or is IEL still standing firm? That's going to require a face-to-face conversation, I think, and we're going to try and do some of that when we're in Phoenix for Driver Appreciation Week. Get some face-to-face time with people. I have my opinion on it, but I am hesitant to tell you what it is, you know, in a public forum. That's Charlie and the Contractors Corner Consulting Group. And yeah, we will most definitely have a real conversation on OPS during Driver Appreciation Week in September. High on my list. Yeah, Matt says for steers, you're looking at paying under $1,100. That was for the Michelin X-Line Energy steers, which Michelin is our favorite tire. So that does my heart some good. Hey, Matt, you're going to be at Driver Appreciation again this year. Cool. So one of the things we're going to try and do for Driver Appreciation this year, we actually have a booth that we're going to have a legitimate booth, not just shoehorned in next to the big fans like it was last year. And we're trying to get it right next to the owner-operator division's booth. And we will have some promotional material for Trucker CFO and Seabright and ESA there for you guys that need some questions answered about the different things that we recommend. We'll be there to answer your questions live. Hey, me, crypto guy, huh? Don't make me make fun of you. Roth IRA is a good investment too. He does crypto, which I have a definite opinion on. Puts 100 in IRA and 200 in crypto every week when I get paid. So I would encourage you to talk to your CPA about that. if you can afford it, the way that most people have advised me is to fill up your Roth, then fill up a traditional, and then invest in mutual funds after that. And there's a reason for all that, and they can explain that to you. But crypto is so volatile unless you can afford to lose money. Most people lose money on crypto. That's just a fact. You have to be really paying attention on that one. Got a little group of owner operators that are meeting there to hang out. Cool, Matt. That's for Matt Nissen. I won't make it again because I'm dedicated to Texas, says Hammy. Hey, man. I won't fault you for doing that. That's a pretty good gig right there. Matt, we stopped doing the update advisor cards, and I can tell you why. Because the websites and the agencies and everything that get that data out to the folks can't seem to keep things straight. So we're looking at a different avenue for that. All right. Let's see if I missed anything. People are saying hi to Donna. Thanks, James Vaughn. She appreciates it. She's getting all embarrassed now. Dead air. Charlie hates dead air, so I'm just going to give him a little more. Timothy, I'm pretty sure that they did. You know, the CSR done message Charlie asking if he could still make that load on time. Oh, Charlie's pushing me to do the charity drive thing. We actually have a thing, I think, in here somewhere. Oh, I thought we had a poster. Yeah, there it is. Swift Charities, Children's Miracle Network, Hospitals charity drive this year. If you want to donate through Contractors Corner, just hit the contractorscorner.cc website. And we have a link to a PayPal account there where we're taking donations, and we'll be presenting that to Swift Charities at Driver Appreciation Week on September 15th. And we're gonna get some sponsorship on that here pretty soon, I think, as well. And we'll let you guys know what that looks like once we have an actual commitment. But yeah, so Swift Charities, this is an organization that helps drivers when they're in the lurch. I mean, I know Charlie's not going to ask for help because he's Charlie, but Charlie's situation is exactly what they help out with. If something happens and you're out on the road and you end up in the hospital or something and your family's suffering, they'll come in with some grants and help you out. And they also are a fairly large supporter of Children's Miracle Network, which, anytime it's for the kids. I mean, come on, your heart just bleeds. Hammy wants to know what's worse mechanic, Love's TA or Swift Lancaster? Yeah, so we should make a charity drive, and the highest donation will shave Jeff's head. Hammy, that wouldn't actually be a big deal for me. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to do that, if that'll get you to donate to charity, I'll be right there beside Jordan. Although he's much prettier than I am. All right. Yeah, let me look and see banners. Let's see if we don't have phones this week. You should throw that up there. All this back office stuff, Charlie. Ah. All right. Oh, we got a new comment. There was something about an appendix there that was probably funny. Oh, that's from Charlie. That's very funny, Charlie. Your ruined appendix to shave my head. That's awesome. And yeah, if you're talking about Swift Charities, Matt, you're totally right. So Swift Charities, although supported by Swift, is a totally separate entity. They are a 501c3. So I already talked to Colton, the trucker CFO, and yes, it's a tax deductible donation. And those of you that have donated already, you can let me know what the receipt you get looked like, because I set it up to send you a receipt showing that it was a charitable donation. And since it's the first time we've done this, I don't know how that actually works. Also, I just want to point out, so there is a button on there that if you want to donate an extra $1 or $2 to cover the cost of the charity drive, don't worry about that. Charlie and I are covering that. I mean, if you want to, we won't say no, but we're covering the transaction fees and all that stuff for PayPal on that. Hey, me, Charlie, if you could post a link to our group so that we could donate on the charity drive. I thought we already did, but I'll look at it. And Charlie, if he's not too stoned right now, he can do it. And we'll make sure that it's up there in the stickies. So it's right up there up top. So last year, I think I think this Contractors Corner came up with like $1,400 or $1,500, and the top donor was Alan, and he got to shave Brett's head, and that was a lot of fun. Charlie says it's at the top of the page, so there you go. So yeah, hit that. It's on the private Facebook group. If you want to head over there, it's on contractorscorner.cc, which is our website. And yeah. Yeah, Mike, we don't shy away from this sort of stuff. Mike says he has a personal problem with charities. We had cancer. They told my wife I made too much money to get help. I had to go work through treatment. I know I should get over it, but I can't. I mean, we've talked to them about stuff like that. I don't think we talked to them about your specific case, but I know that they have their qualifications. That's about all I can say about that. It's they have their checklist that they go through. And James Vaughn, Charlie wants you to enjoy your high, so that's cool. I think they should random you as soon as you go back out on the road, so you can have that nice little doctor's note that says, "Hey." And Matt Nissen says he never collected his prize from last year. Well, I had to hunt down mine as well. They ended up the owner operator prizes. They ended up putting it in the shop foreman's office, and he wasn't there. So I ended up being there an extra day, so I was able to get mine. But yeah, that was kind of an interesting thing. And remember too that I think we set it at $20. Those of you that donate $20 or more, the shop in Phoenix donated a set of steer tires to Jordan, which he has decided he's going to raffle off to people that donate $20 or more to the Swift Charity Drive. So that's a pretty generous offer right there. Charlie, I just did that. You must be on a lag. So yeah. So put your questions up, guys. We'll talk about just about anything. Try to steer away from the politics unless it actually has to do with our business. Craig had something up here that I was kind of excited about. And Craig, I'll tell him what you told me, and then I'll tell you my sadness. So you guys that are familiar with Kevin Rutherford and his platform. So every Tuesday he does a show called Power Hour, and that's where Bruce Mallinson from Pittsburgh Power gets on there. They talk all things maintenance, trucks, all that stuff. And they actually mentioned us by name on that show this week. Now, I tried to go back and listen to it, but today's show wasn't up on the replay yet, so I'll have to go back and listen to it. But that's kind of exciting for us, a little bit of publicity from some people that we really respect. So things are moving. Hopefully we could get with Kevin as well. That'd be kind of neat to get him on the show. He and I have some differences of opinion on a few things, and it might be fun to talk about those live on the show. Mainly it's our thing is Kevin has a saying that friends don't let friends lease trucks, and he truly believes that. And on our side of it, we just kind of figure, we got our trucks that way. So obviously we don't feel that way. But the other thing is, again, Charlie and I will never tell you that leasing a truck is the best way to get a truck. The best way to get a truck is go out and buy a used truck on the open market, preferably for cash if you've got it, because that just gives you that leg up in the business. But thousands of people every single day, I figure, lease trucks. So you pulled the trigger. Now you're in this lease. Let's help you make the most of it. If you guys caught last week's show, Charlie and I argued a little bit. It wasn't as much of a cage fight as we've made it out to be, but you've got to analyze your business. You've got to sit down and say, okay, is leasing trucks the best way for me? And there's a lot of factors in that. And, we had Colton, the trucker CFO, on to moderate the discussion, and the answer was, it depends. You really have to analyze your business, your circumstance, and what your goals are. And we get back to that why, why you do what you do. Why is it important to you? And what's your goal for the next 4 years? What's your goal for the next 8 years, 15 years? What's your goal between now and retirement? And I could debunk most of the arguments for leasing trucks if you're looking at that 10-year time horizon. Charlie's argument also had merit in that he may not be driving in 4 years, right? So why would he pay his truck off? You got to look at that. What's the return on investment on that $202,000? And you do the math and you figure out you really need to be driving that truck for at least 6 years to justify that $202,000 worth of investment. So if your aim is to stay in the game longer than that, then it absolutely pays to just pay the truck off. Maintain it, especially with the newer trucks. It's looking like they're going to go 1.52 million miles. That's a good, on my operation, I only do about 100,000 miles a year. So every 10 years I have the truck, that's 1 million miles. So if I maintain the truck right, 15, 20 years on one truck, and my maintenance, I think I told you guys last year, my maintenance last year was only like $4,500. It's more this year. But last year was incredibly low. So you got to look at all things, the real reason why I leased 3 trucks before I bought one out was that I have shiny new thing syndrome, like a lot of guys. I just like new things. And so I spent 12 years driving newer trucks. And then finally I kind of got to a place where I was like, this is kind of silly. I need more profit than I'm making now. Let's buy this one out. And I did. And I'm I've had the truck for 6 years. It'll be 7 in September. Yeah, 7 years in September. So I'm past that ROI on that truck at this point. So you look at that, things like an APU, like we're talking a lot about APUs again because the fuel prices are so high. Well, what's the return on investment on an APU? If you go to Carrier or Thermo King, they're going to tell you, oh, it's 8 months. Well, when you do the math, it turns out it's closer to 18 months, but there is still a return on investment. So if you're going to be driving more than that 18 months, then you're going to recoup that. And then the savings in fuel and maintenance, you're going to increase your bottom line after that ROI. So, this is one of the things that a lot of guys in the trucking industry don't do is they don't look at the return on investment for their equipment. You get that in solid in your mind, what your return on investment is, and you just figure, so that first 5 or 6 years that it takes to recoup the initial investment, then you're making money for the next 6 to 14 years, right? So it gets back to that what we started having as kind of our mantra is stop paying for a job and start owning your business. Get deep into those numbers. If you need help, reach out. We can help you do that. If you're a trucker CFO client, he will absolutely do that. Go over your profit and loss with you every month if you want. You just got to set the appointment to talk to them on the phone. They're not going to come and beat down your door and say, hey, it's time to go over your numbers. But if you make an appointment and you talk to them on the phone, they will absolutely go over everything with you so that you can understand what your business is really doing. And yes, Charlie, it's all about the numbers. Okay. All right. So go ahead and put your questions up there. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That helps us with the algorithms, which gets us out there to more people. And when the show's on the replay, what we found out is that comments on the replay do better for the algorithm than comments during the live show. So continue the discussion after we close down for the day. And yeah, we'll be in there looking at comments the next couple of days and answering questions if you put them up. Remember, if you don't ask a question, you can't get it answered. You like that? All right. So yeah, there's about a 20-second delay on the YouTubes, as we like to call them, because we're old. So, all right. All right. If you got any more questions, throw them up there. Charlie, in about 20 seconds, give me something. Give me something that you think I haven't said yet. Yeah, this is a really interesting experience, guys, because as you know, normally Charlie and I kind of bounce back and forth and we end up with a good 2-hour show. James Vaughn is back after his evening prayers. Good to have you back. Okay, Mike. You run over 200,000 a year as a mentor. Okay, so at the end of your lease, you're at 2,468, 800,000 miles, give or take. So your total investment is going to be around $200,000. So for you, by the way, with that kind of mileage, your ROI is going to be cut at about half. So you're looking at about a year to recoup that balloon payment. So then you've got another math. Come on, man. We got math going on here. So we'll do it. We'll do a 1.5 million calculation. How's that? We're doing math live on the show. You do 200,000 miles a year. So that might be a stretch, because that gives your truck at that mileage about a 7.5 year life cycle if we use the low number. And we don't know what an M-frame costs on those trucks that are newer than 2016 because nobody's doing them. Yeah, that's going to be, for me, that's going to be on the fence. You're going to have at least 2 years of a higher profit before you're going to need a new truck. But consider this. So what if you took that 2 years of higher profit and just put it in the bank? And then you went to, say, Aero Truck Sales and bought a truck with 450,000 miles on it for 60 grand, and then ran that for another million miles. How would that pencil out for you? So again, run the numbers. I know that part of it's going to be that students are harder on the trucks than seasoned drivers. So there's that factor. So yeah, I think you're right on an edge there that we would have to discuss further. Thank you for not bringing up the warranty though, because that one just sticks in my craw like nothing else. Warranties. Sue is in the house. Sue, can you rephrase that question? Sue's trying to get me to actually think here. What should be your operating costs, your profits? And where I'm at in my operation right now, I would have to look up my profit and loss statements and tell you where I'm at, first of all, versus where I'd like to be. I mean, some napkin math, if you want to do napkin math, which is not even close to accurate. Let's see. Let's use this week's surcharge. So I can tell you napkin math for me right now says that, let's do it again just to be sure. And let's make the numbers a little low because things are in such flux right now. So this week on an over 800 mile load, I'm at $1.67 a mile on my contract, all in. Oh, the last time I actually looked at it, which was only a few weeks ago, my profits were right at 96 cents. So that's a 57% profit margin. So that's 42% to overhead, 57%, 58% to profits. That's where I'm at with a paid for truck. The only thing in napkin math that I can't actually do live without bringing up a P&L is maintenance, which this year I'm already at about $5,000 this year. So if we want to factor that in, Sue, you can do that since you're asking questions. But talking to other people in the industry, Kevin Rutherford used to go over this with people. Colton has an opinion on it, and on a truck that you owe money on, you should still be in that 30% profit range. If you're not in that 30% profit range, we need to figure out why. Most of the time, I can tell you what it is. It's fuel. My fuel cost is only like 46 cents a mile. And that's only because I've been idling so much all summer. I talk to people when we look at their fuel gauge, they're at 57, 60 cents a mile. And I'm like, why? Why is it that high? And it's usually because they idle all the time. They run faster than they need to. Those are the two things. Idling, this is again back to the APU question. Carrier APU, I just found out. So we were talking to these guys that run the straight trucks at that expo, and every one of those straight trucks has an APU on them. It's just not even an option for those guys because their downtime could be days in that kind of operation. So, you're not going to not have air conditioning in Southern California. But like a Carrier is a little less expensive than a Thermo King by about $2,000. So you're looking at $11,000 to install one of those things and have all the bells and whistles. The Thermo Kings are closer to 13.5 if you get all the bells and whistles. Which, talking to people that have done it, get the bells and whistles. You'll be a lot more comfortable. But you figure I just did another test where I idled for my 34 and then filled up again, and I was at 0.7 miles per hour. 7.7 gallons per hour is what I idled. And so you figure these APUs are using that in an entire day, a 24-hour period. That's a lot of savings in fuel over time. So that's where you're going to want to get your stubby pencil and napkin out and start doing your napkin math on that. And then get with your accountant and do the hard numbers and figure out if it makes sense for you. Remember, it's all about the numbers. And for those of you guys that like to switch out trucks more often than I do, be aware that if you're leasing from IEL, you need to get that thing off of there before you turn your truck in, because if you roll it in there with all that stuff on it, they're going to say, yeah, thanks for the APU. So, and that does not pencil out if you lose it at the end of your lease. So, all right. So yeah, one of the topics that we're going to be doing, it is going to be a basic finance class with Colton. We're going to be using his tax guide as kind of an outline for that. The reason is because his tax guide doesn't just go over taxes; it goes over how to figure out your profit and loss and things like that. So we're going to be using that as a template for that class. And yeah, I know that's been something that quite a few people have asked for, and we're gonna do that one here in the next couple months. We got to get Charlie healed up first because we're a team, man, and it sucks not having him here. So Mike says has an average cost of idle of around $200 a wah. I assume that means week. So keep in mind that Mike is mentoring, right? So I'm assuming you don't idle nearly as much as I do in this heat. Your truck's probably moving. So I know that when I was mentoring, when I ran the numbers, an APU did not pencil out like at all because the truck was generally just in motion all the time. And even when we were on that solo status, because I could fill in if I needed to, I just made sure that the truck shut down at night instead of during the day, because we could get the loads covered pretty easily, even on a weak team type thing if we had to. As I've gotten older, my tolerance for both heat and cold has gone down. So my comfort in the cab is much more important than it would have been, say, 10 years ago. I used to just make sure I had some water next to my bed and drink a lot of water while I was trying to sleep and be okay. Now, no, I'll get up in the middle of the night and like, yep, it's too hot. Turn the truck on. I do try though. I do try to be responsible. All right. So Sue, just as a side note, I don't know if you were here earlier in the show, but Charlie broke the rules and came on the show. So what I need you to do is go down there and hobble him. You know, do that Stephen King thing. Make sure that he doesn't get out of bed again. That'd be great. You can tell him you're his number one fan. And I don't know what this is about, and I don't know if I should have even put this up there, but Grant says you should live with me. All right. All right. So do we have any more questions? I'm going to wrap it up a little early if we don't have more questions going on. People, Charlie said, take care of yourselves. One of the things that's going on with me is I just had to do the good old A1C because of the type 2 diabetes, and it resulted in getting on some new meds that I'm still getting used to. So, that's always fun. These health problems, whether it's blood pressure, whether it's diabetes, or just being bigger than you should be. I'll be nice, because we truck drivers, we're not known for being svelte. I know some of you guys out there, you put us all to shame, but for the most part, we drive and then we go to bed. So that's, about as sedentary as it gets, I guess. But hey, this is something, that not only could it end your career as a truck driver, you got to keep those vital statistics under control, but it could end your life. And we, we're out here trying to make a living to support our families, this, that, the other thing. And, I love the industry. I love what I do for the most part. You get those customers sometimes, but whatever. You just let that roll off your back. You got to take care of yourself because, I'm 50. So my target has always been to retire when I'm 60. So I've got about another 10 years. If I was not able to get my diabetes under control, I would lose my license. So there goes the business I built. But then let's say I got to 60 and I've done well and I never lost my license, but now I can't hardly walk because I didn't take care of things. Again, that whole looking forward thing, don't just look at this week's activities, this week's paycheck, this week's whatever. Think about how you want to live in 10, 15, 20 years. Get that in your mind and then make it happen. A lot of the things that I study and research and classes I take are designed to teach me how to thrive regardless of who's in office and what the economy's doing. There's a way to survive downturns in the economy, and so that when things pick back up, guess what? You're making even more money because you learned how to go lean during these times. Sue Smith, how do I personally prepare for emergencies financially? So that savings account that I have on the business for the maintenance, it is enough to weather a little bit, not like months, but to weather a little bit. Because of the way I have it set up, we're talking 16 cents a mile combined going into accounts that I don't touch unless I have maintenance or some sort of other emergency. And I will, another person that I do respect, but I disagree with some things, is Dave Ramsey. And, he has this thing, he says, when you're setting up your emergency fund, unless somebody's bleeding, you don't touch it. That's the main thing. And, I'm as guilty as everybody else. right now with the way freight is, this is something. So yeah, Sue, thanks for that. Of course, Donna has her controller thing that she does, manage expenses like 10 times, and then stick something aside for later, both food and money. And I'll come back to that in a second here. But the first thing I do is I transfer money from my business checking account to my business savings account before I do anything, before I do payroll, before I pay any cell phone bill, anything. And then I start on the expenses. I've got Seabright, so I got to make sure that I'm saving so much a week for that. I got Colton that I pay. I got this I pay, all that stuff. So as I pay those things, if I get to that point, I'm like, I don't have enough money for that thing that I need to pay for. I then retransfer enough money out of that savings account to pay that bill. The concept is this: you pay yourself first. For me, that's in the form of savings accounts. If you need that money, then okay, but you've done the act. You've actually transferred the money. And there's a mindset to that. You have actually done the act. Now, it turns out that you needed that money. Okay, but you did it. And then after a while, here's what happens. It becomes automatic. So on those weeks where you didn't need that money, guess what? It just sits there. And it grows. And this is something that that doesn't get talked about a lot, is the food part of it. And okay, so those of you that know me will be shocked by this, but yeah, we're some of those weird Mormon people in Utah. And so part of our whole faith thing is food storage. We store food against bad times. This has helped us immensely in times of famine, if you will. When I got laid off from the phone company, we actually lived on our food storage for a good 6 months. And it made it so we didn't need to go on welfare. We didn't need to ask our church for help. We didn't need to ask our family for help. We had food. And what we did is when we had money, all you have to do for the food part, it's really easy. When you're at Walmart or wherever you get your food, walk down the canned food aisle and pick up a can of food. I really like chili, so I'll usually pick up some chili or something. And that can goes in the basement. Okay. Out of sight, out of mind, until you're in a situation where, like, I really don't have any money for food this week. Oh, wait, I got that food downstairs. Let's go see what we've got. Donna's pretty extreme in the food thing compared to most people. I mean, we just had chicken last night. And you know what she's going to do with the chicken bones after we get done eating all the chicken? She's going to make soup out of it. We got the Instapot, so it's really, really easy. We pretty much don't waste anything. And that's something that we do that allows us to save money in the long term. One of the things we did for our savings account is, this was a while ago, but so we were really deep into the Dave Ramsey thing at the time, and we were building up our emergency fund, and we went and got an account at a credit union that was not linked to any of our other bank accounts and did not have a debit card. We had to physically go to the credit union to get money out. So when you have to go through all that effort to get your money out, guess what happens? You don't spend it unless you really need it. So that's the thing. Like you've heard us talk about credit, and the difference in the generations. My parents, with their 8 million credit score, since credit cards first came around in the 70s, they have always been what they call freeloaders. They use their credit cards to pay for everything and then just pay it off at the end of the month. Most people don't have that kind of discipline, so doing that is not a good idea. And we recognized in ourselves early on in our marriage that we did not have the discipline that my parents did. So that's what we did. We got an account at a credit union that was not linked to anything, no debit card, no nothing. And so that money just sat there until we actually needed it, which meant we had to get off our butts, go down to the credit union, fill out the slip, and get money out. So that's how we dealt with that. Let's see. So yeah, and back to Matt's thing. He basically a financial emergency, right? When that happens is probably the best time. You should do it beforehand, but nobody does. I mean, let's be real. To sit down and figure out what your needs and your wants are, and only service your needs. That's something that I will beat that drum forever, because our experience with it was so dramatic. Going from having all these toys to nothing because I lost my job. But you know what? Life happens, and that's part of the game, right? Part of the game is solving those problems. All right. Sue loved what we were talking about. Thanks, Sue. And Charlie is gone completely now. He has to talk with doctors and stuff and get some rest. Please look after your health and each other. I'll see you on next week's show, week 104 consecutive on Contractors Corner. So that makes it. So here's what's funny. Charlie and I were talking about how funny it would be if something happened and he was high for our 2nd year anniversary. And he's currently on morphine. How funny is that? All right. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to wrap it up because I got to go do some diabetes stuff here pretty soon. You guys get on the chats after the show. Keep the questions coming. If you could think of something that you after the show, like, hey, I should have asked that. Go ahead and ask, because we're going to check that feed and we're going to answer those questions. If you're in the Mighty Network, in the community, Contractors Corner community, again, we apologize for having to cancel that class this week. I'm pretty sure the group of people we have in there understand, though. It's a really good group of people. And then we're gonna be announcing more stuff on that side of things soon. We're going to be introducing some group coaching events, and trying to get more conversation going, because that's something that we need. Well, we set the group up so that we could have great conversations with great people about business. And what we frankly don't want is for it to just turn into another Facebook, because that's not the the people that created that platform. They were actually, their whole thing was to be kind of an anti-Facebook. So more classes to come. We'll announce when we're going to finish up the fuel management class, once we know when Charlie's going to be fully functional again. And the group coaching sessions were good. That one's kind of more my project, because I'm really excited about that coaching aspect. And what we're thinking of right now, and again, guys, get in the comments and let us know what you think, because this is all for you. Limiting those to maybe 10 people per session or less, because what we want to do is really get into, let's get your books out, let's figure out what your goals are and help you meet those goals. Get down and dirty on an individual level. And we think we can do that in smaller groups. One-on-one coaching will come as need arises. If you have specific things you need coached on, we can do that. But yeah, reach out to us in the community for that sort of help, if you will, and we'll get into it. All right, so I made it almost an hour and a half. Sue, what do you think about that? Just talking by myself. So my oldest son has looked at me quizzically a few times. But yeah, so just to recap today's show a little bit, I guess, take care of yourself. I think that's probably the main thing. If you've got health issues, get them taken care of. It's tough in the truck, I understand, but it's not impossible. You just have to get to that place where it's a necessity instead of a want. I've gotten I've gotten more into sort of the Tony Robbins Awaken the Giant Within stuff lately, and he has something that I just think is hilarious. You know, everybody says they should do this or should do that, and what Tony says is stop shooting all over yourself. Just do it. You know, if you know you need to lose a couple pounds, go for a walk. One of the things I actually do is I park in the furthest stalls in the back of truck stops, um, on purpose, even if there's spots up close, because when I have to get up and use the bathroom, I have to walk that, half a mile to get to the bathrooms. And so for me, that has helped me um, not get as big as I might have otherwise gotten. So Grant gives me 2 thumbs up. That means more to me than a Charlie thumbs up. I'll tell you what. So, all right, we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Again, if you're part of the community, get in there and discuss stuff. We'll be in there. I usually get in there a couple times a day and see if there's questions and try to be part of the conversation myself. Donna's got her homebody CFO group thing going on, as well as and remember, guys, you guys that have spouses, significant others at home that support you, we do have a support group for them. It is a private part of the network, and if you're subscribed to the community, that is a free benefit. All you have to do is message Charlie or I, and we will send a link to your significant other's email that gets them access to that group. And again, you guys know how support groups are. This needs to remain, I don't have access to it. Charlie doesn't have access to it. It's only going to be significant others in that group because they need to tell the world what dumbasses we are without getting into an argument. I mean, let's just be real. That's how support groups work. They need to not be monitored by us drivers at all. And so that's the way that works. Just send Charlie or I a message through the group. You can send a direct message in there just like you do on any other social media, and give us your spouse, significant other's email address if they want to join, and we will send them that link and get them in there. So with that, remember, guys, no one's looking out for us but us. And be safe out there. Watch out for your health. You guys have a good day and be safe.